This is Pete Emerson from AppNexus, and I'm going to do a quick demo of some code that I wrote for a tech talk in February of 2012. The code I wrote in order to play around with two pieces of technology that I had not had any prior experience with, one being the NoSQL database Redis, and the other being a messaging client messaging library called ZeroMQ. So I wrote Commander. The code is all up here on GitHub at github.com/Pete0Emerson/Commander. And the goal of Commander is to execute arbitrary commands across many machines very quickly, and then store those results permanently in a database and present those back to the user. If you click on the README portion, there is a link to the YouTube video of the Tech Talk presentation that I gave. It's about an hour and 10 minutes long, as well as a diagram of how the data flows and quick guide into installing both ZeroMQ and Redis. So the code is going to work like this. I'm going to start here with my Commander executing a date command across my cluster of machines. That data is going to be stored in Redis, and my transmitter is going to pick those up out of the Redis queue, and then submit them over to my virtual instances that I've got running on my MacBook here. In the lower right-hand corner is one of those instances that will be processing the job, executing the job, and sending the results back. The processor sends those results back to a receiver whose job it is to shove it into the Redis database, and the commander will be then picking those back up. So to show a diagram of how that works, we go 1 through 7 clockwise. We start running the date command via Commander, storing that data in Redis, transmitter picking that up, sending it to the processor, processor sending the results back to the receiver, storing the data back into Redis, and the commander will pick that up off of the Redis queue. So here we go. Here I've got my transmitter waiting for a job to do. I'll fire up my processor, which will actually execute the job, and I'll fire up my receiver so that data can go back into the database. And here I'm going to be running the date command. I've got 3 virtual hosts. I'm running VirtualBox with Vagrant on my MacBook, so I've got 3 Ubuntu instances running here. And the receiver command simply tells the processor how to talk back, communicate its information back to Redis. So as you can see, the command runs very quickly, and you can barely notice any delay at all. I can run any arbitrary command that I want to, and then I decided I would take this one step further and be able to run code. So for example, if I write a hello world script in Perl, maybe I want to run that across my cluster. So I can do that too. And I just specify a code flag, and I just pass it my hello world script. And that gets sent off to all of my instances and run and ship back. Over on the right-hand side here, you can see the transmitter pulling the code out of the Redis database. I'm using the JSON format to structure the data that's being sent. In fact, in here you can see the Perl code itself embedded inside the JSON. And then down below we can see the processor receiving the request. It then, in the case of running the hello world script, it is saving that to disk and executing it, and then shipping the results back to the processor. And you can see it's sending the actual results string itself, as well as the exit code of the job. And then the receiver then collects that and stores it back into the Redis database, and the commander gets the result.